Hi everyone, I decided to tackle the untackable, is that a word, and start a new series. Hopefully I will have patience to actually go through with it, with filming it. What still works? I call it what still works. So of course I was inspired by Saturday Night Live and the fantastic Kate McKinnon. And I just want to tackle some of my art supplies and see what works for me now, and then figure out maybe there's a better way that I can store things so I can more easily use them. Today I want to focus on wax pastels. My favorite ones to use with watercolors. I want to emphasize that I mostly work with watercolors, and whatever I fall in love with has usually to do with how it works with watercolors and with my style of painting. So I just want to make that clear. As you're watching this video, I will explain my, considerations, but just be aware of that. You might feel differently. It doesn't mean if I don't like a product, it doesn't mean that it's not a good product. It just means that it doesn't work for me. So my favorite ones are the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 1. I love the effect that I can get with these. It gives me a very good resist to watercolors, but because of their waxy consistency, they're not so oily. It doesn't really leave any kind of residue, and the watercolor really glides on top of it. The brush doesn't pick up any of the fattiness of the stick, which is what I'm worried about when it comes to the oil pastels and watercolors. So we'll see how I work with that when I test those. So these are my absolute favorites. These are water resistant. All of the other ones that I have here, including the Neocolor 2, the Dina Wakley Media Scribble Sticks, the Jane Davenport Aqua Pastels, and the Vicky Boutin Art Crayons, are water soluble. So we'll see how that works. With some of them, you really have to kind of work hard for to release the pigment. So it might still work for me because I enjoy that resist. And today is the day. So I can't test, everything from every set. It's going to take me forever. So what I'm going to do is pick a few colors that I enjoy and try and work with them. And it's probably best that I do this separately. I just want to say about the Dina Wakley ones. So the one with the white, I think that's the easiest way to separate the two. The one with the white is the first set that came, and mine is a few years old. So I don't know, maybe the formulation has changed, but the one with the white is the first one, and then the one with the gray is the second one. And this formulation, I find, is much better than this one. So I don't know if they changed it, or maybe this is also improved. This is my experience. I cannot tell you, how they are now. That was just my impression. So you can see that these were a lot less loved than this set, the second one that she came out with. But I'm going to test them today. I'll also test the white one and see how it compares to the Caran d'Ache. Again, these are water soluble, so it probably won't give me the same effect. Now the Jane Davenport ones, what I like about them is her color choices. Dina Wakley also has a color palette that I enjoy. It's nice to get like a curated set sometimes. And then I have the Neocolor 2 by Caran d'Ache, which are water soluble. These are amazing. These are fantastic. I've used them for years and years and years. Now I use more the Neocolor 1 because they resist and these don't. But these have a better color selection. I wish that the Neocolor 1 had a better color range. I'm going to grab a large sheet of paper. This is the Canson Montval Aquarelle. This is the 300 GSM. I have the 200 GSM. That one is okay for just like sketches and very light washes, but it's too thin for most of how I like to paint. The 300 GSM is great. This is cellulose paper, it's not cotton. It works well for me. It's not my favorite paper, but it's definitely kind of good enough for how I use it and how I paint. If you want to see how I painted this floral, there is a series of videos on YouTube on my channel, and I will try to remember to link to them, but if not, they are quite recent, so you can check them. Now, I think when it comes to new or maybe art supplies that you don't use very often and kind of how to learn how to use them is, you know, there are two ways you can go about it. You can either try and use them like you use something similar and enjoy, or you can just play around with them and see how they perform, and then you can adjust that or, you know, insert a new technique into your arsenal to accommodate kind of their qualities. So I think that's, you know, that's why certain artists love a certain supply and then, or medium, and then others don't. It's very personal. So these ones, the Caran d'Ache Neocolor one, I'm very familiar with them. I love them. I use them all the time. So I'm not going to test how they perform because I know and I can kind of measure up all the other ones against these. This is kind of the ones to beat or the ones to compete with. I have a lot of videos using these. I started using them in the summer in my summer floral series. So you can go and check that out. I love them. I use them all the time. I use them almost on every painting. I have the 12 set or 15 set, which is good if you like the kind of bright saturated colors. And it has a white, which works really well. And then I have a few other colors that I bought open stock. So that's what I have. These are, you know, staying there on my desk. They are kind of the first thing I grab when I sit down and paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of create different areas of flowers to work with. This is my favorite subject to paint. And I think this will kind of give me a good idea of how these products perform. So let's get started.
Okay, so I decided to do this part on voiceover just so that I have time to organize my thoughts. And I'm sorry I didn't film the first like 10 seconds. I'm just scribbling these loose florals like I usually do, usually with the Neocolor one. So I'm going to do the same process with all of my other wax pastels. Just a reminder, all of these, the ones that I'm testing, are water soluble. So it is a different effect and they don't work as well as a resist. However, I found that with all three, the Jane Davenport Aqua Pastels, are they called? The Dina Wakley Scribble Sticks and the Neocolor 2 from Caran d'Ache, you know, you kind of have to work to release the pigment. So if you like the kind of sketchy look, you can absolutely still use these and then go over it with watercolor. And if you're careful and if you don't like really, you know, work the crayon, the like pastel pigment, it most of the time it won't move as much, with, you know, certain variations between the different brands that I'm testing here. But all in all, you can get kind of a similar effect. It's not as obvious, so take that under consideration. Now, the most disappointing ones were the Jane Davenport ones. They were pretty kind of like rough and they weren't as, like, the pigment didn't deposit on the paper as easily as with the other pastels that I tried here. And also, I didn't really fall in love with any of the colors. I think one of the things for me is color. I have very strong feelings about color, and getting the exact shade that, you know, gives me all the feels can be hard, and not every, you know, brand and medium makes the perfect colors for me. So for me, for example, if I find like a perfect violet in one of these that I don't have from the Neocolor one, I would definitely kind of incorporate it into my regular used products just because of the color. So there is this one violet in the Jane Davenport set, but most of all it was pretty disappointing, and I don't feel any attachment to it, and I will put it with the supplies that I give my kids or that I use with my kids. They actually also use my Caran d'Ache, my Neocolor pastels, but this I would be much happier if they used these. So these were definitely the bottom of the pile for me. I just think that all the other ones perform better, are more concentrated, apply better. I think when you want, when you're using a pastel, I feel you expect a certain amount of pigment deposited. And with the Jane Davenport one, they were so rough that it was almost kind of the same effect like using a pencil. And I have a ton of pencils that I enjoy a lot better. So these are just a big no-no. So the Dina Wakley ones, I again noticed the big difference, in my opinion, between the second set, the one without the white, and the first set. The first set is just harder. The pigment doesn't deposit as easily. I feel the formulation. I hope that they changed also the formulation of the first one. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that one. It has one color that I love. I think it's, her turquoise is just gorgeous. So that one I might still pick up, but yeah, I wasn't impressed. From the second set, there was a really beautiful green. You can see that I made with it the leaf that you see on the flower in the middle. And I will definitely take that one. I think it's called Olive, that color. And that is gorgeous. I don't know if you can buy the Dina Wakley Scribble Sticks open stock. I think this is another disadvantage. Well, sometimes, in one way, sometimes it's nice to just pick up a set, not have to like sit around and choose, 10 or 12 colors from a large selection, which is the case with Caran d'Ache. But if you are particular with color and if you know what you love, I think open stock is just much, a much better option for most people who already have kind of a very developed not sense of color, but kind of a sense of their own preferences. I don't mean to imply that, if you buy a set, you're, not as advanced or anything like that. It could be that a set has exactly the colors that you like. It could be that your color sense is very similar to someone like Dina Wakley's or Jane Davenport. So don't get me wrong. But if you do have unique color preferences, then open stock is a big advantage. So the Dina Wakley ones, I did enjoy the second set. These are not by far, but they are the most reactive ones, the Dina Wakley ones, the ones that when you touch them, touch kind of water to them. Does that make sense? Especially when you put down the pastel already on the paper, as opposed to like dipping your pastel in water and then scribbling, they had the strongest effect, which wasn't terribly strong in any of these. You kind of have to work on them to release the pigment, and that's fine. That's not like a bad thing. But I did find that the Dina Wakley ones were kind of the most reactive ones to water. And after playing around with them, I did enjoy the second set. I think also the colors, you can see I kind of scribbled them. So the second set is the one in the middle, and then the first set is the one on the right. And I think the second set has a really lovely selection of colors. So do they perform better than the Caran d'Ache ones? I have to check the pricing. It's kind of similar, but still, once you play with the Caran d'Ache ones, you can really feel that quality, that smooth deposit of pigment. They have, a huge selection of colors. It's just kind of a more reliable product, I think. The Dina Wakley ones, I think, perform well, but my winners are the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2. So The Dina Wakley white one was completely useless as a resist. It didn't resist at all. And I know that's kind of a unfair expectation because these are not supposed to resist water. But you can still see, I mean, the formulation of these products has, has wax in it, has oil in it. So it is products that to a degree, they still kind of push water away. And I did notice that effect with some of them as I was kind of coloring in areas with my watercolors. So, yeah, it's not fair to expect this particular type of product to offer a resist. That's definitely what you should expect from water resistant or waterproof or, insoluble, whatever. Things that are not solid, that are not water soluble. So yeah, I will pick up that the second set of Dina Wakley I might keep on hand or just take out the olive color. There was also a color called Blushing. It's kind of a corally color, and the magenta one. Oh, and the yellow one, I can't remember how it's called. It's like a very orangey yellow. So there are pretty colors in this set. I will give her that. And I think the quality of the product is good. However, then we have the Caran d'Ache ones, which I think are just a little bit better. They come in a huge color range. You can buy them open stock. They kind of do the same thing. You can pick up one or two and see how you like them. And I think... let's say it like this. I don't see them replacing the Neocolor one because they don't have that resist factor. Here I'm just trying to test the Dina Wakley white. It doesn't resist at all. So I was just trying to scribble with it and see what happens. You can get some effects with it, but I still find it very weak. And I just wouldn't use it. I think the white is a bit useless. Maybe if they reformulated this to the level of their second set, then maybe. But other than that, it's a bit a useless product for me personally. So I don't see these replacing. Here you can see a little bit what I was saying, that it kind of still does when you don't really disturb the pastels. Now I'm disturbing it a bit. They do kind of resist water colors. So it's a bit an interesting product to play with. I do see some options with these. I think the fun thing with these is to scribble in wet watercolor, and then you get that combination of the pigment released from the pastel with the watercolor. That is sometimes really fun. You can kind of drag the watercolors and create fun effects. So I do think I will keep the Neocolor 2 also on hand. And I just love that scribbly look. That's really what I enjoy when it comes to these kind of pastels. And the wax ones are very, very comfortable to use with watercolors. They're comfortable to use also in a sketchbook because they don't have that, thickness of oil pastels. So I'm happy that I played around with these, and I definitely feel more comfortable putting aside definitely the first set of the Dina Wakley Scribble 6 and the Jane Davenport one and give it those to my kids. I paint a lot with my kids, especially with Lily, so I'm glad to feel comfortable using those with them. And I hope this was helpful to you. I'll just give, because I'm putting timestamps, I'll just give my final thoughts now to conclude this. Before I do that, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment. It's completely free and it really, really helps new people discover my channel. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And also, I will be testing my oil pastels and my hard pastel, so more like a chalk pastel, in the next episodes of the series. So to summarize, the Jane Davenport ones, while their packaging is fantastic, they performed, I think, at the bottom of the pack. I don't recommend them. I might pick up that one violet because I have a problem with violet addiction. And that color is just never easy to find. So that one is a pass for me. The Dina Wakley ones, the second set, the one without the white, is really nice with a good color selection. These are quite water reactive, so if that's a quality you're searching for, then this is a good choice. I love the olive color, blushing color, magenta color, and turquoise, which is sadly from the first set, so not as nicely formulated. So I might pick up those. And the top of the pack is definitely the Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2 pastels. They have the best kind of pigmentation. You can just feel the difference when you scribble with these. The color selection is beautiful, wide. I think everyone can find a few colors that they enjoy. You can buy them open stock and kind of make your own pick. So those are the ones that I enjoy most, and I will keep them on hand. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you like pastels.